What's up, you guys? Teddy Striker here, and in this video, I want to talk about why Jon Jones, for one, he has a new mandatory, and that this should be his next fight. But some things could happen in between there, like Thomas will potentially fighting and defending his interim title. But first of all, I know that Jon Jones fighting Stipe Miocic is a legacy fight. It's on paper. Fighting Stipe Miocic is better than fighting Thomas, and I completely understand that. And Jon Jones probably wants to have a retirement fight. But in my opinion, this like if you're gonna do that, just like have Thomas be the undisputed champion and have him fight contenders so that the heavyweight division is not held up. Because it's been held up for so long. It was held up with DC and Stipe when they had their trilogy, and they didn't let Ngannou fight. They just kept rematching each other, and that was that. Like, Stipe has been a part of the reason that division's been held up for a while. And then after that, you had Ngannou versus Stipe, which for some reason took like several months to set up that fight. Stipe had fought DC in August, and then he came back in March. There was plenty of time. There was a lot of time for him to come back sooner. But for some reason, he didn't. And then Ngannou, he's my guy, but he did help hold up that division. He could have fought Derek Lewis in July or August or September, but he waited for... He was just celebrating. So the UFC was like, okay, we're just going to make an interim title. And as he should, the undisputed champion fought the interim champion. And then he fought Cyril Gane. And then for a year, he didn't do anything because of negotiations and he was injured. And also, Jon Jones did not want to fight Francis Ngannou in that time period. And now we have Jon Jones, who came back after 3 years off in March, took no damage in that fight. He just took a nut shot. That was it. That was the only damage Cyril Gane inflicted on Jon Jones. And in my personal opinion, after UFC 285, I thought that Jon Jones was going to fight Stipe in July. So that way you get it over with as fast as possible. Stipe, I didn't hear anything about him being injured. In fact, he said, I got the winner in July. He said this before UFC 285. Jon Jones was fine too. Why didn't they make Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic in July? That didn't make any sense to me, but whatever. They'll get it done in UFC in November. So as long as it's done then that's fine. Jon Jones gets injured. He's out for 8 months. Now this is where the UFC kind of looks back and says, you know what, we should have probably done this fight in July because now you're extending this fight all the way back to 2024 and Dana White's still saying that he's willing to make that fight. Like, come on now. This isn't even a fight that the fans want to see anymore. The general consensus is Jon Jones is probably going to win it. Although he could get knocked out cold by Stipe because Stipe is, still a heavyweight. But that fight's not as intriguing as the Tom Aspinall fight. The Tom Aspinall fight, not only can Tom Aspinall really KO Jon Jones, but he can submit Jon Jones too. Jon Jones is super well-rounded, but he always has a significant height and reach on his opponents, and he's usually more well-rounded than his opponents. But he doesn't have power. He has a reach advantage, but it's not as big as it was against his other opponents. And Tom Aspinall is taller, if not the same height as Jon Jones. And he's arguably more well-rounded than Jon Jones because he can put you out with one punch or maybe 2 punches. Well, Jon Jones, if he hits you clean a heavyweight, you're probably going to be fine. With Aspinall, though, he's probably going to put you to sleep. But that's just a more exciting fight. And the UFC is they're stubborn. And this isn't the right type of stubborn that we want. We want the stubborn where it's okay, both of these fighters don't want to fight, but the fans want to see this fight. We're going to be stubborn in the way that we're going to push them to fight each other no matter what. We're going to make this fight happen. That's what we want to see. But the UFC is just stuck on this. Oh, well, it's a retirement fight. Stipe's a legend. This and that. Well, where was disrespect when Stipe was asking for more money, or when you could have promoted Stipe more in the Ngannou fight and you didn't promote him at all and you just promoted Ngannou. Where was his respect then? And the problem is now with Stipe Miocic himself. Like, he's actually said that he was willing to fight. At first, when they made this interim title fight, I was like, why isn't Stipe fighting? Like, what's going on? Like, did Stipe, like, decline to fight them? Like, if he did, then he shouldn't get the next title shot. He didn't. The UFC was like, no, we're not going to disrespect him by offering an interim title fight, which is very, very strange. Like, I don't see the disrespect in that. Like, don't you guys want this to be seen as legit? Or is UFC themselves saying that the interim title is a joke? How is fighting for an interim title seen as disrespectful? I don't get that. But if the UFC are really intent on making this fight and keeping this fight together, then I would say, I don't like this, but if you're not going to give Tom Aspinall to Stipe, or you're just going to, like, keep that fight together and, like, wait till Jon Jones comes back to have that fight, then you're potentially looking at, if Tom Aspinall is willing to wait, he's probably not going to fight next year. He's most likely going to fight in 2025, and he might not even get to fight Jon Jones. So in my opinion, for Tom Aspinall, like I said, this is not a good option, and this is pretty lame, but you're going to have to fight Ciryl Gane. And the reason I say it's pretty lame is because Ciryl Gane does not deserve this opportunity, because this guy, when he beat Sergey Spivak in Paris, he had Tom Aspinall front row, right there, perfect, set up your next fight. He can even make it like a UK versus France type fight. But this guy was like, no, I want title fight and all this nonsense. And by the way, Ciryl Gane needs to leave his team and his manager. I'm pretty sure Fernando Lopez is telling him, oh, you got to do this. This is going to work. Oh, all that type of stuff. And that doesn't work, all right? Just follow Nasruddin Imavov and leave the MMA factory. Go somewhere out of Paris. And you're getting robbed in Paris too. But either way, yeah, Ciryl Gane versus Tom Aspinall at UFC 300. Like, that sounds like a good matchup. Or maybe not at UFC 300. Maybe somewhere else. Like, the UFC comes to Europe, maybe for a pay-per-view in May or something like that. They come in May. It could actually not make it in the UK, because Ciryl Gane is not always going to get that privilege of fighting in France, and the guy would not be the A side in this fight. So I would say Jon Jones fights Stipe in the back end of next year, and I hope that he sticks around. But I honestly don't think that we're going to see this fight. I don't think we're going to see Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. I think Tom Aspinall is going to fight Ciryl Gane. Right now, I got to be like, I like Ciryl Gane, but I got to be honest with myself. Tom Aspinall would probably beat Ciryl Gane, and I think he's going to get promoted to Undisputed Champion by the end of next year, because I think that Jon Jones is going to fight Stipe Miocic, and then he's going to retire with the excuse of saying, oh, well, all my previous opponents have been that guy that was supposed to beat me, and he's not going to want to fight Tom Aspinall. But I hope this fight happens, but I don't think it will.